Every once in a while, I get sent a product that completely changes the way that I do things, and this is one of those products, and that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. And this is that product. This is the Synco Xpro series headset. What is it? Let's talk about it in today's video. Shout out to Synco for sending this over to me. Before we start, I just gotta mention, I'm not getting paid for this video. They just decided to send this to me and wanted a review and then just a video about it, but they didn't tell me that I have to say anything nice about them. So there's that. I'm not getting paid for it. I do get to keep these and I am going to continue to use these because these are a game changer and I'm gonna talk about why in today's video. Let's go. The Synco Xpro series headsets. What are they? How can they benefit your production? Let's dive right in. I am primarily a photographer. I do photography as my main source of income, but in the last few years, I have been doing a little bit more video. And as somebody who kind of went from photo to video, I've started getting introduced to new gear, whether that's, just camera rigs with like transmitters and receivers and, external recorders and stuff like that. Things that you don't normally find in the photography world, which is just camera bodies and lenses and then lighting. I've slowly been introduced into new things, and each time I get a new thing, I'm like, oh, this is cool, but like I can also operate the camera without it. For example, on my video rigs, I always have like a battery and then an external monitor. And as much as those do help the production because you don't have to swap batteries in and out and you don't have to, squint your eyes to see the video, if you don't have those on you can still get away with just having the body alone. I use Sony systems, so they're all kind of, you can use them by themselves. You don't need all that extra gear and all that extra accessories. I mean, it does help if you're shooting for like a long period of the day, but you don't like absolutely need them to make sure that your camera is functional. Now, I'm not saying you absolutely need these either, and I'm not promoting you go buy them or anything, but these are one of those things that when I have used them on set versus not using them, it's a day and night difference. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me not get ahead of myself. Let me talk about what's actually inside and what you get when you do order this system. So like you guys saw, you do get this really nice case, this nice carrying case. It's pretty hard, which is gonna keep everything inside protected. And it is actually pretty spacious. It has space for all 5 of these little headsets. And it comes with 4 of the blue, which are like the slaves, and then 1 of the red, which is like the master, I think. And then a bunch of these little cloth things that you can keep them safe and sound in. And it also comes with some additional things, like if you don't like the little earmuffs that they come with, they do have different sets of earmuffs. So they have like these little tiny earmuffs if you don't like the ones that are included. I do like the ones that are included. And then of course they also have the batteries and the battery chargers and stuff like that. I unfortunately didn't get these for one of the bigger productions that I recently worked on. And what we did have on set was actually something like this, which was just like a walkie-talkie. These two things do essentially the same thing. So let me talk about why I would recommend getting something like this versus something like this, having used both on set. Like I mentioned, I recently did a production and we only really had our walkie-talkies. They're fine, they're great. If you have them, it's better than not having them. But let me talk about 2 reasons why I think having a system like this is going to be a lot better than having a system like this. First off is the ability to use both your hands. When you're using a walkie-talkie, you have to actively be clicking on the button in order for your signal to be sent. This means that if you're doing something that requires both of your hands, you're gonna need to stop doing what you're doing and whip out the walkie-talkie and talk through that. Now there is a little headphone jack here if you want to like plug in a headset that has a little microphone on it, so you can just keep it on your belt. But at the end of the day, you're still gonna need to activate that button, which, better than having to run across the entire warehouse or entire set, but still is going to slow you down a little bit. With a system like this, you can put this on and you can throw this down, and now you can do whatever you're doing with both your hands and still be able to communicate. And I think that's just so much more helpful on set because, for example, if you're moving a light, you need to use both your hands to move that light. And if somebody's giving you direction on where to move light, you don't want to have to put it down. Hey, is this good enough? No, move it over 5 feet. Okay, boom, back up and down, up and down. Whereas you can just get active feedback while you're talking to the person and have both your hands available. That's the first reason that I think a headset system is way better than this. The second reason I think a headset system is way better than this is because when you're using a walkie-talkie and you're clicking the button and you're actively sending out a signal, you can't actively get a signal back. Whereas with this, it's 2 channels. So it's, if you're talking to somebody, they can also talk to you directly at the exact same time. It's an open chat versus a closed chat. I do a lot of gaming. I do a lot of Fortnite. And when I'm playing Fortnite, you know, we have our headsets on and we're talking to each other, we're communicating, and we're giving each other call outs, right? And if I had to stop what I was doing and click a button to talk to them, you know, my teammates, it would slow everyone down. It would make us less efficient, and it just wouldn't be as efficient as having open voice chat, which is what this essentially lets you do. With this, you don't have to worry about having to cut someone off or having to wait for somebody to finish what they're saying in order to talk to them. You can directly talk to them. You can get instant feedback and instant communication, which is going to increase the efficiency of your production and your set. And once you start using something like this, you'll realize how clunky something like this is. Now, this is still better than nothing, but there's a clear winner in these 2 systems. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, super specific technical aspects of them, but they're pretty simple to set up. You essentially get one of your receivers, like the red one, for example, and you put it into Bluetooth mode. You turn it on. Power on. There you go. Power it on. And then when it's powered on, you just hold one of the buttons. There's a button for noise cancellation, which is nice because if you have it up to your head and you don't have noise cancellation on, it's kind of like taking a phone call where you feel like you need to plug your other ear in order to hear it. Whereas with the noise cancellation, it's going to make that ear have a better chance of hearing what you're actually getting told, which makes it so you don't have to plug your other ear, which is really nice. There's a button for volume, volume up, volume down, and then there's your pairing button. And with your pairing button, you can obviously just pair your systems. Now, I still don't really know how to pair it too well. I have them all paired now. I was on set one day where it took me like 20 minutes to pair them because they just weren't pairing. I don't know, maybe that was 100% user error, but I'm also not the type to read the manuals, but I got it to work. So someone who didn't read the manual got it to work. You essentially just put it into pairing mode, wait for it to pair, and then you put the other ones into pairing mode, wait for them to pair, and then you can turn them all off and turn them back on, and they should all be paired. And they don't unpair every time you turn them off and turn them back on, which is really nice because now that I have them pair, I'm not gonna unpair them. Another thing I like about these is they do have full 3.5 millimeter jacks, unlike the little mini jack that the walkie-talkies have. Now, obviously, if you get more expensive walkie-talkies, they probably have the full 3.5 millimeter jack, but these don't. Now, these are not all perfect. There are some things that I wish could be better about them. Number one is just how it feels on the head. I feel like when I have them on, they feel a little flimsy. I'm not gonna lie. They kind of feel almost like a toy, if I'm being completely honest. Like when I wear them, it takes a little bit for me to get them on my head and feel comfortable. Once you wear them for more than like 5 minutes though, I feel like they become a lot more, like you don't really think about it too much, and they don't hurt your head, which is it's a good thing. So although they may not be the most comfortable when you first put them on, because you're probably used to putting on headsets like this, where it's both muffs, something like this is gonna be way more comfortable than something like this that doesn't have both ear muffs, because now it feels like a little one-sided, which is a little wonky. But after about 5 minutes, you kind of get used to it and it isn't that big of a deal. And then the only other thing I can think of that I don't absolutely love about these things is that they have this system in place where if you want to talk, you have to bring down the headset like this, right? Or the microphone jack. You have to bring it down. Once it's in the down position, that is when you can talk. And if you want to mute yourself, you just bring it back up, which is cool. It works. I get the need for it. In theory, it is a little annoying sometimes because, you know, if you're talking to somebody and you finish talking and you go to put it back, I've had some times where it didn't, like I thought it was all the way back, but it was like bent like this. So it wasn't actually in the full upwards position and people could still hear me fiddling around and doing stuff like that. And there was still noise coming in, which was kind of annoying. So I wish there was, instead of having like a swivel action like this, I would have just rather prefer there be like a switch. I think would be nice to be able to turn it on and off. Not a button like this, but a switch where you can just if you want to stay an active channel, you can activate it, or if you want to mute yourself, you can mute yourself. I think it would be really nice to have like a button on the actual thing itself that you can, or a switch on the button on the little mic itself that you can switch on and off. I think that would be another something that would make it better. But I'm not complaining about the system that it has. It's just these little antennas sometimes just get like in the way, which make it a little annoying to use, but not enough for me to really care about it. That's my review of the Synco Xpro series headsets. And thank you, Synco, for sending them out to me. I've absolutely been loving them on set, and I'm going to continue to use them and hopefully end up picking up more. I don't know how many they can support. Right now I have 5. Hopefully I can get like a couple more. But yeah, that about does it. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one.